A wise old man once said, "The tool does not maketh the designer, it maketh the design." That wise old man was me at the end of the first time I did this. I am living proof that anything can be a graphic design program if you think creatively. Real designers use Adobe. Real designers use Canva. Well, I design in Fortnite. I design in the Premiere Pro Sequence timeline, and I design using the very hairs born from this chiseled jawline. If this isn't design, then I don't know what is. We live in a society where our creativity is being sucked dry by tech giants in the name of profit and efficiency. Need a logo done? Why hire us creatives when you can ask ChatGPT to do all the designing for you? There are no long-term consequences for your action. And with basically every graphic design software giving generative AI the green light, authentic human-made design must be done elsewhere. So as a testament to the human spirit, I'm gonna make the same design in more than 10 new programs that were never intended for design, as suggested by you, those wonderful people out there in the dark. And I'm sure this will be much easier than the first time I did this video. As long as you guys didn't suggest anything crazy like, I don't know, the DK artist mode in Donkey Kong Bananza. Let's see. So it appears as though many people have suggested. This video is sponsored by Milanote. More on that later. DK Artist is not a graphic design program. It's a 3D sculpting mode in a Donkey Kong game on the Nintendo Switch 2. Earlier this year, Nintendo released a game that might overtake NBA 2K25 as the best video game of all time. And that game is Donkey Kong Bananza. I 100%ed this game in like 3 weeks while continuously putting off working on this very video that you are watching. The one thing I never touched in those 3 weeks, however, is DK Artist, the 3D sculpting mode that certain fractones tell you about with surprising urgency. I had no interest in this mode in my playthrough, because I saw the trailer and I was like, hey, that's cool, but I will never use this. But as Elliot's law states, if it can be claimed as a business expense, it can be used as a graphic design program. The Rock. Now, what you are looking at may appear to be a competent 3D sculpting program, like Paint 3D, for example, but DK Artist is hindered by 3 brutal restrictions. DK Artist has only 4 tools on offer: Paint, Carve, Add, and Smoothen. These tools do exactly what you'd expect and have no adjustable controls. DK Artist's second restriction, and if you've played this mode before, you'll know exactly what I'm about to say, is that there is no blank canvas. Diddy Kong is your new blank canvas. This is gonna suck so much. There are a total of 7 different starting sculpts at your disposal, 3 of which you start the game with, and the final 4 are unlocked as you progress through the story. None of them are a business card, which is annoying because today, I happen to be designing a business card. Which business card? This business card. The same one I used in the first part of this series for the sake of continuity, complete with all the Elliot finishes you've come to expect. The background, a 3.5:2 ratio rectangle colored in a subtle off-white, specifically hex code E9E3D3. 6 lines of sans serif text in the top corners, neatly aligned with intricate spacing and written with award-winning humor and panache. And finally, lining the bottom half of the card is the big Elliot, set in the font Ozic by the legends at Newform Type, with the O replaced by my very easy to replicate logo, an 11-pointed star with subtle rounded edges filled in with whatever the program of choice inspires me to do. Shouldn't be too hard. How young I was back then.
Why are the captions?
Who is speaking when you undo? Now, with no rectangle base to start with, the only options I had were to give up immediately, like I did with Strava as soon as I saw a street map of Sydney, or to just turn one of the existing bases into rectangle. So I started with my comfort character, the humble fractone, and began work with the add and carve tools to slowly form something resembling that of a business card. And after 10 or so minutes of sculpting using the Joy-Con as a mouse, that was pretty sick, not gonna lie, DK Artist's third and final restriction became evident.
Okay, that grabs, that rotates. How do I change the size of the brush? Can I change the size of the brush?
The brush size is locked. The only way to change how big of an area you're adjusting is to zoom in or out. Like you bring the sculpt to the brush instead of just changing the brush size like every other program, you know?
We are in big trouble.
Like imagine you're the brush, right? And you're trying to add like fine details to my face. And naturally you would just get closer and do it, right? But instead, like I would have to come in close. And then do you see, it's weird, right? It makes me uncomfortable. This means the bigger the sculpt, the smaller the details you can make once you zoom in as much as the game lets you. Which meant that this design was simply too small.
Okay, we're gonna Fucking hell, we're gonna have to restart. Ouch!
And this proved to be a brilliant move. I used the add tool to make the design as big as possible by extending the sculpt to the bounding box, which also happened to sharpen the left and right edges of the rectangle. And after doing my best to smooth out the top and bottom edges, we finally had a solid foundation.
You guys can't hear it, but you can't turn the music off in this mode. I want everyone to know that. It's that same one. It's just that on repeat.
With by far the hardest part now over, I painted the base with the sand texture, which is definitely the exact same hex code as the original design, and started plotting out the layout of the Elliot.
Oh, this looks shit already.
DK Artist likes to blend different paints together when they get too close to each other. So I worked around this by alternating between painting with both the sand and stone brushes to get some sharp edges on the type, and did the same with the lines of text in the top corners. Very legible.
No, oh my god. That was the delete everything button. If anyone's wondering. That might have been the end of the video.
And the style was more of the same. Freehanded it like a true artist. It was slow work, and it might not have been good work, but this ended up being much better than anything I could have imagined in the DK Artist 3D sculpting tool.
Look at this and get ready for this. Wow.
Microsoft PowerPoint is not a graphic design program. It's a presentation making program. You make presentations in it. When I look back at my life, I can say with some confidence that PowerPoint was one of my earliest entries into the world of design. I was the type of student, like most of my viewers I'm sure, who spent more time on the design of a school presentation than the content itself.
Click 2 is mentioned 3 times here. Click 2, and then click to add notes down here. That's good, I guess.
PowerPoint has a lot of tools on offer that appeal to those with a knack for design. So many tools that including it in this video might just be a cop-out.
Is this a cop-out? This might be a cop-out. This might be a cop. This is pretty much a cop-out.
Changing the slide size was easy. Adding the top text even easier. And the Elliot was an almost perfect replica of the original design. So when it came to my 11-point star logo, I knew it had to be perfect. I couldn't just use one of those 10 or 12-point star preset things that PowerPoint has. No! It had to be 11. That's an odd number. That would be the ultimate test for PowerPoint. Was this necessary in the script?
Vector editing in PowerPoint?
Now I feel like I've made this star a million times in a million different programs, and one method always proves to work. I take an oval-like shape with the same curve as one of the original points and duplicate it 11 times around a central point using precise maths and angles and all that. And it never fails until it fails.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Okay. Something has gone horribly wrong here.
So after slightly adjusting my original shape and calculations, I started again on designing the replica star. Also, did you know PowerPoint has a way of organizing layers?
Reorder objects. What does this do? Huh?
I have never seen anything like this. I didn't think we needed to innovate any further on the humble layers panel. What the fuck is this? My star was complete, and after using the shape builder tool, I was able to merge the 11 shapes to create one whole object.
And I think we can all agree that I am a star. For making. Okay, so some of the points aren't great.
And while PowerPoint is capable of doing all this, it's still not too good at organic asset generation. So my options for the star interior were limited to a basic gradient tool and a handful of patterns and textures. But I ended up layering a few layers to take advantage of the incredible layer ordering tool, and we ended up with a pretty solid design. The final touch was utilizing the in-app shape effects.
Oh, sick!
And I am very happy with how the end design turned out. This was not a cop-out. I mean, how could this be a graphic design program if it doesn't even have generative fill, am I right? Ugh.
Hey guys, I figured I might as well present to you my design now that it's finished. So next slide, let's enjoy it. Okay, that's I think it's on the next slide actually. Okay, that's once again.
TuxPaint is not a graphic design program. It's an open source drawing tool made for kids. If you want a kid picks kid, you might have been a TuxPaint kid. And if you want a TuxPaint kid, you might have either been an adult or you weren't born yet, or you just didn't use either of the programs. I was looking forward to this one. TuxPaint is a program I have vivid memories of using when I was a kid, but those memories were pushed down into my subconscious by stronger and more joyful memories of kid pics.
I've tried to download TuxPaint several times with my kid, but unfortunately I couldn't download it. 1 star? Can you tell us what problem you have downloading it? TuxPaint itself doesn't really deserve a 1-star review if you're having trouble with your web browser OS or SourceForge, winky face. Krita?
TuxPaint is a bizarre little program. Downloading it in 2025 really feels like you're downloading a virus.
Apple cannot verify TuxPaint is free of malware that may harm. Oh, come on.
But I risked all my data because I love you, and TuxPaint was ready to be used as a graphic design program. a graphic design program with a fixed window size.
Please bear with the zoomed in footage that I'm going to have to do. But also please enjoy the London skyline in the back. I was in London a few months ago. That's why it's the wallpaper. I had a good time. I saw a Vita on the West End, actually. Truly an incredible production. Whatever Jamie Lloyd touches, it simply just turns to gold.
Like KidPix, TuxPaint was developed as a fun art-making program for kids, which means it comes with all the bells and whistles. Literally.
Listen to that. I love this. Kind of looks like the penguin's flipping me off right now.
And while there might be less charm to TuxPaint than KidPix, that penguin mascot will always have my heart. The penguin's name is Tux. It is also the Linux mascot and the Tux typing mascot. But I'm not going to mention the redesign, or Gown, Tux's friend, or Tuz that...
A rectangle has 4 sides and 4 right angles. What is this, made for kids?
The foundation for this design was a simple rectangle using the rectangle tool that used scale and then annoyingly forced to rotate. And I was struck by pure disbelief when I realized that every single font on my computer was in TuxPaint.
The font is Noya Montreal. Wow, that's crazy. Wait, are these just all my fonts?
Except there's no way of searching for the one you want aside from going page by page on this column here while trying to match the uppercase and lowercase a's with the font you're looking for. This extensive searching process also crashed my unsaved TuxPaint file.
What?
I found the fonts I was looking for and started assembling the text layout. The process was made much more difficult than expected thanks to text that was locked in place once typed, but I eventually got the hang of it and embraced the sense of permanence embedded within this program. And the style was where TuxPaint's real charm started to shine.
Nice. This is lovely. Oh.
I filled the style with a variety of overlapping gradients to get a similar effect to the original design, and the finishing touch was, of course, Tux himself. Here's the exported design. It's 36 kilobytes. IKEA Bathroom Designer is not a graphic design program. It's a 3D space to visualize your bathroom before you buy like cabinets and all that stuff. In the first video of this series, I designed in the IKEA Kitchen Planner. Here's the design I made. Note the top-down perspective. Note the use of box objects to make up the Elliot. Note that this design is in fact a cop-out. My frontal lobe has evolved dramatically in the last 2 years. So this time, we're not designing from a top-down perspective like some chump. We're designing on the wall. And in the bathroom.
And we're already presented with a grid system tile background, which is gonna go a long way.
I started by adjusting the dimensions of the bathroom to match my own bathroom in my house. 7 meters long and 4 meters tall. And that just so happened to be the same ratio as my business card design. Wow. As far as the off-white background goes, there was no way of changing the tiling in this planned bathroom, which in my opinion is a terrible flaw in the system.
I want to be able to stack the washing machine.
Now the furnishings on offer in the IKEA bathroom design tool are incredibly limited in a number of ways. Most pieces are only available in one color, and that color is often white, which simply would not provide the contrast I needed for my text. On top of that, some objects are locked to their position on the y-axis.
We're gonna see if we can, okay, so our first shit.
Cabinets were my solution for the Elliot, or at least the more vertical parts of the Elliot. No cabinets were wide enough to look good as the horizontal parts of the E and T. For those, I had to get a bit more abstract.
We'll take it. We will absolutely take it. We'll do a shower shelf there, and then I think we do a toilet roll holder at the bottom. Or do we use a bin? And then now when we do, we're going to modify this to have that, and then it's going to kind of like, you'll believe it more. Why did I do that like that?
The style would surprisingly be less abstract, as IKEA has got this big circular mirror that seemed like the most suitable option. I then had the brilliant idea of making this bathroom a fully functional bathroom with everything you would want in a bathroom. So I replaced the eye in Elliot with a sink and mirror situation and added a floating toilet sandwiched between 2 raised bidets underneath the big mirror. The finishing touch was to add some Basingen towel rails and a toilet paper holder as the top corner text.
Every single time I start a program, I go, maybe we'll just cut this one from the video. And then this is like, this is it. This is literally the design done in IKEA. Like this is
It just works.
We don't need a shower. We don't need a bath. We've got 2 bidets. One for washing something, everything else. It's a good system.
Milanote is not a graphic design program. It's an innovative tool for organizing creative projects and also the sponsor of this video. Now, Milanote had some pretty sick tools on offer for me to play with in this design. And while it may not be a graphic design program, it's definitely suited for graphic designers and creatives alike. Here's what Milanote is really made for. This is a board I've been working on to organize ideas for the return of my pride and joy design chef, complete with mood boards, merch concepts, and ideas for an updated branding. Boards like this are super easy to create thanks to the beautiful templates Milanote provides from the get-go. But today, I'll be starting from scratch, because I would have had to delete everything anyway. One of my favorite features is to add color swatches directly to your boards, like I've done here. And swatches like these are exactly what I'm looking for to get the exact same hex code as the background of my car.
Look at that. That was like too easy.
There are a number of ways to add text to your Milanote board, and for the top corner text, I went with a little bit of an unconventional option, using tables that might usually be utilized for budget planning or itineraries, but I'll be using them as text boxes. I changed the cell color to the same off-white as the background, and they look just right. The Elliot was a bit trickier. With understandably no way of adding giant text in a project planning software, I had to get a bit creative.
This might be the go. I think I can make it out of boards.
Milanote allows you to create boards within boards, meaning you can dive deeper into ideas you want to explore further while still keeping everything nice and organized. These boards appear as these cute icons that you can customize, and I figured if I add enough boards to this main board, I could construct an Elliot.
I knew it would work. Look at that kerning option. You can get that. That's nice.
So board by board, I combined my boards into type. I made the icon background color black and then chose the smallest icon I could find so I could overlap boards on top of boards to create a smooth shape.
But so far, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool.
My star was next. And while Milanote allows you to just drag in any image you want into your board, I think we can do better than that.
You can't do that. You can't offer me that and not expect me to duplicate this and rotate it 11 times.
A big part of the creative planning process is connecting ideas. And to show this in Milanote, the handy line tool allows you to visually connect your thoughts together. These lines can be curved like the humble Bezier curve. So I traced my 11-pointed star with 11 lines and ended up with a perfect replica.
Look at that.
The final stretch was here. I started a quick to-do list with everything I needed to finish the design and had to think about how I would fill my star. You can add video links directly to your Milanote board, thumbnail and all. And luckily, my thumbnails have recently used the very same off-white background as my business card. So I added a sweet homage to Second Elliot by adding a link to his creation video and fit him perfectly behind the star.
I think that blends pretty seamlessly. Tick.
I used some more color swatches to cover up the remaining white dots in the Elliot.
Tick.
And the design was complete. And if I wanted to, I could invite Second Elliot to collaborate on this board with me as a co-editor. I could have even made the whole thing on my phone with the Milanote mobile app. And you, sweet viewer, can sign up to Milanote for free right now using the link in the description of this very video. This design turned out so well. There are 40 boards in this board.
Thank you, Milanote, for sponsoring this video. Tick. Test. Okay. Test.
Godot is not a graphic design program. It's a free and open source game engine.
Welcome everyone to Godot, as some people incorrectly say online. It's obviously Godot, a reference to Samuel Beckett's classic Waiting for Godot. Waiting for new Elliot video is how everyone felt.
If you've ever used Blender before, you should recall that feeling of opening it for the first time and just staring at that default cube and going, what the fuck is going on? Well, Godot gave me the exact same feeling, except there's not even a cube.
Oh no.
The only experience I have with game design programs like this is when I had to use Unity to make Second Elliot. And that was like the most hand-holding experience ever thanks to a bunch of tutorials. I have not retained a single piece of information about how to use that thing. So I was ready to stumble my way through Godot until I could produce something that resembled design.
I heard this is meant to be very easy. This is the future of game design. This was free.
My first breakthrough was realizing you could switch between a 3D and 2D space, which I'm sure ended up making an already hard task a million times easier. The 2D space is where graphic design most often calls home, and not having to worry about depth was a godsend.
This is something I would like to learn and invest time into. I think an Elliot is a cool game. Would be very fun.
The core of my process would be utilizing nodes, the main building blocks of Godot. I think. And there were some comforting words in here. Path, polygon, line. I know these words, but I always found the nodes to work in mysterious ways that subverted my simple expectations.
Sprite? What is sprite? Where is Sprite?
I quickly figured out how to make a rectangle and a gradient, and realized I could test the design with the press of a button, much like how you could test a game as you were building it.
Hey!
Now, the easiest way to add text in Godot is by adding a label node, which I only just found out last week when I wrote this script. My refusal to use tutorials outside of the Godot documentation led me to focus my energy instead on the pop-up and accept dialogue nodes.
I'm thinking like in a game, a pop-up is something that comes up in the game. And I'm like, there must be text for that, right?
Which meant that I had text, it just looked like this.
So if that's the case, then maybe it is the child, maybe it's actually the pop-up. Maybe it's pop-up. However, pop-up, unlike accept dialogue had dialogue, and you could write dialogue. Pop-up.
And somehow, through the power of trying every single option I was presented with, I was able to hide the border and extra elements, and finally change the font.
Oh my god. I have no idea how we got here.
I then proceeded to black out and repeat this process too many times until I actually perfected the text layout. And you truly know that you are doing something in the way that the program intended you to do it in that way, when all it takes is you just click something, anything that's just not even related to what you're doing, and this happens.
Oh.
I never fixed this. It happened so many times.
That's crazy.
And every time I just adjusted the position coordinates of each bit of text until it happened again.
Why does it keep doing that?
The star was next, and after quickly giving up on the path tool because I am bad at any path tool, I added a 3D sphere, gave it a solid color material, and transformed it until it gave me the perfect shape to be duplicated and rotated 11 times. And it worked perfectly.
Oh my god, we can actually do it. We can absolutely do this. We need to rotate it around a center point. I just want the point of reference for rotation to be in the middle here. That's pretty sick. Not bad, Elliot. Not bad at all.
I then figured out I might as well take advantage of Godot's game design capabilities and turn this design into a playable game, before quickly abandoning that idea for the sake of my sanity, and instead figured out how to animate the star to change color every half second or so. And that was pretty cool.
This is about as authentic to the challenge as it gets. This is graphic design inside a program not made for graphic design. You'd believe me if I told you I made this in Photoshop or Illustrator, right? You'd believe me. These are 3D objects on a 2D plane.
Very proud of this. I'm sure this is the hardest program to design in that I will encounter in this video. Seriously, what could possibly be harder than that? TouchDesigner is not a graphic design program. It's a node-based visual programming language for real-time interactive multimedia content. Take a guess at how this one's gonna go. If you've ever used Godot before, you should recall that feeling of opening it for the first time and looking at that empty space and going, what the fuck is going on here? Well, TouchDesigner is exactly the same, except TouchDesigner describes itself as a visual development platform. It's made for like installations and interactive experiential design. Like imagine you were designing the live visuals for an artist at a concert, right? Like all the stuff on the screens and the stage, right? You might use TouchDesigner to make stuff that can like react to the music live rather than like pre-made assets, which is really cool. I've heard it's really good at that. I've heard it's incredible at that, in fact. And I really hope that I have so much respect for the TouchDesigner people, and I hope none of them are watching because I'm about to use it in the worst way imaginable. I worked on this design on and off for 3 days because I would get so stuck that my head started to hurt.
Use a constant top in one input of an overtop. Oh my god.
There were 2 options for how this final design was going to look. The first was somehow figuring out how to render a complete graphic by combining a bunch of nodes, which is closer to the intended purpose of TouchDesigner. And the second option was to just like collage a bunch of nodes on top of each other and pray. And for some reason, that second option, wow, that sounded like a really good option at the time.
This is too far. This one might be too far.
The nodes at your disposal are split into 6 main types: comps, tops, chops, sops, mats, and dats.
What's this?
And then to confuse things further, there's this column on the left of the screen here. And this seemed to include a bunch of nodes that were made out of a bunch of other nodes.
What have we got here?
And I knew this because if you zoom in on a node, you enter it like a window, and you get to see what nodes it's made of.
If we zoom into this, do we enter its world? What?
And then sometimes you can zoom in again to find even more nodes. It's kind of like the PowerPoint layer organizer, except not at all.
I can't believe it's generating. How hot's my computer? That's not too bad. Good computer.
For the background, I was initially drawn to the checker generator found in the left column, as I figured I could change the colors of the checkerboard to both be the same off-white color to mimic a rectangle, and this worked as intended.
We're cooking.
That was one of like 3 wins in 3 days. There were just too many buttons to press, and none of them seemed to do what I wanted them to do. I also learned that you can't just drag a node on top of another node, as TouchDesigner thinks that means you want to combine them in some way.
Ooh, can this not just sit in the background?
But turns out if you drag it close to another node and slowly inch it down towards your desired spot, you bypass the pop-up window that ruins the effect.
Okay, there's something here.
I'd figured out how to make the text using the text top and abandoned the original background in favor of the text top background that you could add. And this was very helpful.
And then we can do some more text up the top. Okay.
The biggest issue across my 3 days in TouchDesigner was how to make the text background fill the entire space of the node. In a perfect world, I'd be able to hide the node border and make each text box look like a floating asset. And I actually managed to do this. But I have no idea how.
How do they just do that? What did I do to make that happen?
And at this fine moment, when everything started to look somewhat like the original design,
I'm gonna do some research. I have to do some research. It's taking too long. It's a bug?
Now, I'm still not 100% sure what happened here, but somehow I had done something that locked these beautifully designed nodes. See how my cursor changed into this strange arrow thing? I didn't think it was meant to do that. So the only thing left to do was, of course,
we are going to make a new file. Oh, I'm so happy about this. I love it.
But upon reopening TouchDesigner, something felt off.
I swear to God, the last time the tracking was minus 0.5. Minus 5, sorry. And that worked fine. Has it updated?
TouchDesigner may indeed have installed an update in the time it took to reopen the app. And this felt like a deserved punishment from the devs for using such an intricate and powerful tool as a collage maker. Familiar features were suddenly unfamiliar. This pink box was now a permanent addition on my text nodes.
Add text. Why are we doing this new callback feature? We don't need this.
And no matter what I did, I could not add more than 1 line for my corner text.
I'm not gonna give up on this. I'm gonna give up on it right now.
I dedicated all my remaining energy for the day to adding another line of text, and then did the same thing for a couple more hours the next day. And I tried everything.
But this is a DAT, and this is not a DAT. Very interesting.
I tried adding a text DAT and connecting it to a text comp. I tried using a text SOP and editing it in a 3D space. I tried adding my text to a DAT table and connecting the Sheets file to a text node. Are you keeping up with what I'm saying?
I'm so very confused.
After hours of failure, what else was I to do but look for a tutorial? So I did.
In Python, a backslash at the end of a line, it signifies that the statement continues to the next line, no other character.
It turns out all I had to do was add quotation marks around my text and use \n to indicate a new line, which isn't even a TouchDesigner thing. It's a Python thing, which I should have known because I had to learn Python to make second Elliot.
I definitely haven't spent like what feels like 2 whole days just trying to do that.
There is no shame in asking for help, unless that help looks like therapy. Fuck that.
This brings me back to making second Elliot. Honestly, this is it's awful, but it is fun. It is fun.
I spent the next day creating my star. This is what I made, and I made it all on my own. Let me quickly try and explain what's going on here, because I think it'll actually make a lot of sense.
So this is making the shape. This is texturing the shape with the color, and then we're rendering the shape, and then we're using the background, the light here, and then putting it in a camera, and then it turns into that. So it's been a few weeks since I've forgotten most of it.
Pretty sick though, right? Pretty cool. This was really hard. I think the only thing more difficult than this would be convincing my dad to be in a YouTube video. Have you ever used Photoshop before?
No.
Have you ever done graphic design before?
No.
And would you consider yourself to be a good program for graphic design?
Average.
If you can see that all the way on the left there, there's a little bucket. Can you see the bucket? That's the bucket.
That's the bucket.
So click on the bucket. It's looking quite blue. Maybe if we make it more yellow with the...
Okay, so we need to drag down here.
Yeah. There we go. First step. Very good. Very good. How do you feel?
Fantastic.
Great. Okay, let's... This is your layers panel.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you've used the layer organizer tool in PowerPoint before.
Yep.
You have?
Many times.
Great. That's cool. So press T on the keyboard.
Just T?
Yep. That's the shortcut for the type tool.
Okay, yep.
And then you can drag the corners to make it the size of the thing, which should feel familiar to some tools, I'm sure.
Correct.
What's your favorite font? Do you have a favorite font?
Not a favourite, but let's look around.
So you can scroll through this, it should automatically update on the canvas. So you can choose one that you like.
That's nice. Let's go with Cookie Regular.
You like Cookie Regular? Too easy.
Command T?
Just T.
T.
Yeah.
TNT.
Yeah, that's true. The broadcast network. Looking good? Feeling good about this?
Yep.
You enjoying the process?
100%.
Great. Now my logo is an 11-pointed star with rounded edges.
I remember that.
How would you like to? How in your head would you? Where would you?
I want to move the whole thing down.
If you press V.
That's the one.
That's the shortcut.
And I want that in there somewhere.
Lovely. Beautiful. And we can change this at any time by doing exactly what we did.
Good.
As well.
Yep.
No pressure.
Blue and green should never be seen, so let's stick with...
and then,
where did that go, though?
So it's there, but it's so thin right now that we can't really see it.
So we need to change the thickness.
We need to do exactly... Hey! Oh!
Bazinga.
That's the one? Are you happy with the size of it, or do you want to edit
No,
it?
we need it bigger, I think.
Sweet. Command T. So in this design, there is text in the top left. And there is text in the top right. And what does that say?
Call me now.
Yeah, so you're only going to be adding the layer that is selected. We're in this layer right
Interesting software.
It is.
Do you need a phone number?
That works great. Proud of this? Well done.
I think it's sufficient.
Yeah.
First timer. A little bit of colour. Not still professional.
I will say as well, Mum's design, she had in the top right corner, in the top left one, she had Elliot is in my heart. Which was a really beautiful message.
It's a lovely touch when she had a heart here.
Yeah. And we've gone for a different angle here.
Yes.
And that's I just want to say that's okay. Take off
The unveiling.
We're going to see if you've got a dent.
The reveal.
I think
we're okay.
I think there's a bit.
There's a little one, but
it might be.
I'm a lazy person.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call that optimized. I should just be able to drag my text box.
But that means everything's...
Just do this. What I do... Saying that.
Yeah.
Bang. Click. Bang. Click. Bang.
Animal Jam is not a graphic design program. It's an online game where you can be an animal. This was one of the most requested programs for me to design in. It was even up there with Krita, whatever that is. Now, I knew nothing about Animal Jam. Strawberry Jam? Apricot Jam? Turns out it's not like that. But some people who recommended it said that there was a paint studio in the game, and then also some people just said, good luck.
Welcome to Animal Jam. Check out all of these amazing animals and choose which one you would like to be. Then click Next.
Okay.
Now, for those like me who have never heard of this game, Animal Jam is a popular MMO launched in 2010 in collaboration with the National Geographic Society. It was widely popular when it launched and still has a thriving community today. It feels a lot like Club Penguin, except you can be other animals, yet I still chose to play as a penguin.
They're incredibly polygonal animals. This rabbit's head is a hexagon.
With my name and color palette set,
Honest, gentle penguin.
I began my journey to the paint studio and was quickly greeted by my new friend Peck and a guard of honor.
Oh my god.
Welcome to your new home.
Oh,
My name's Peck, and I'd like...
Where's the paint studio? Okay, where is the paint studio?
Wow, look at all those gems. How many did you
Bye.
You also get a house in this game. This is my house here.
I could watch this all day.
Now, finding the paint studio was much more of a challenge than I initially expected. The game map has a considerable size to it, and I could find nothing that said paint or studio for that matter. So I decided I would inquire within the community. But no one offered to help this honest, gentle penguin.
I've never felt more unheard. There's so many people around and they're all just bloody shilling their own thing. I just want to learn how to paint.
I did some research and found that the paint studio was located in
Coral Canyons.
and promptly waddled over. Welcome to Animal Jam's Paint Studio.
Oh, here we go.
Brush, airbrush, fill, blur, and a series of shapes. DK Artist felt more versatile. It's also one of those art tools that doesn't have an eraser, meaning you have to paint over your mistakes, which always just pisses me off. No text tool either, of course.
So the natural thing to do is to make this out of like blocks, which I don't want to do, but I will.
With incredible patience and precision, I started to map out the Elliot using the rectangle tool. Yes, angry commenter, it is true. I am covering a big part of this design with my big head, but I will realize this later, and it will be funny.
We have to restart the whole thing because we've already messed up. We were too generous with the size of the letters. You can't even see this 1 pixel. You couldn't even see any of that illustration process, but I curved out the T really well. Not bad, right?
Always grateful for my rectangular name at times like this. The corner text was made out of some thin lines that I chopped up to keep them all aligned.
And that's even, that's literally in sync. With no grid, no nothing, guys. That's just pure willpower, okay?
And the only option for the star was to draw it.
It never looks good, and doing it on the mouse, there must be a better way. There isn't. There's just not.
I used the blur tool to give a little bit of interest to the star interior, but there wasn't much I could do from there.
The type turned out pretty much perfect. That looks exactly like it's a bit wider, but it's still like remarkably close. So we'll absolutely take this. Yeah, we'll send it to AJHQ. And where did that go? Is that a physical place?
Garageband is not a graphic design program. It's an Apple exclusive music making software that lets you play the drums on the iPad. Now, MIDI art is by no means a new thing. Some incredible artists out there have made some unreal compositions that both look and sound cool. And I can probably do one of those things, at best.
Well, this doesn't look too hard, right?
As soon as I saw the piano roll, I was instantly taken aback to my Premiere Pro timeline design in the first video of the series. With the ability to create only horizontal bars in a program like this, one must think like a pixel artist, just as I did in Premiere Pro.
How can I ensure that this is 2.5 by 3?
But GarageBand unfortunately was limited to choosing only one color, or at least that's all I could figure out. So instead of using different colored bars for different parts of the design, I was forced to play with negative space, or dare I say, silence. And this excited me. I genuinely believed that once the design was done, I would be able to play it and it would sound like music. I figured that, if you put 30 consecutive notes together in one big block, it'll sound good. I was certain of this. My rectangular name came in very handy here, and the Ellie in Elliot looked unreal. The T wasn't as clean, but I'm still happy with how I curved the bottom parts. Not too bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
I left the dreaded star until the end, and after thinking about my approach for a few minutes, I decided to resort to an old friend.
Because at least in the Premiere Pro one, we had like that software that could like overlay it. We don't have that this time, because I haven't installed it, and I'm not going to. So we're going to have to make do. We have a beautiful square. We're actually going to get that app again.
Freehanding this would have destroyed me. Thank you, PureRef, for making this look somewhat correct. I carefully carved out my star bit by bit with GarageBand mocking me by playing each note as I click them. And the design was finished.
Now the ultimate test is to, of course, listen to it. Let's see what beautiful song we have made here. I don't feel anything.
But thankfully, I've had over 10 years of music playing experience over the course of my life. I've played the French horn, the baritone horn, and I'd like to think I was a very good bass guitarist for like 8 years. I've even recently started learning the piano as a new hobby. Here's a video of me playing this design. Music theory is in my blood. I knew how to fix this shit design. If I just deleted a few notes and then it kept the essence of the design,
Why does that still sound bad?
In 20 years, this will be considered good music. And in any year, this should be considered good design. Minecraft is a graphic design program. That was confirmed in this video. But the Minecraft map is not a graphic design program. It's a map item in the graphic design program that is Minecraft. The graphic design potential of Minecraft is still untapped. And after seeing what people could do using the map tool, I just knew that I could come up with something better than whatever the fuck this is.
I've never played on Mac before. Like, what's my skin? I'm a Wii. Well, I didn't realize that at all.
In a new flat creative world, I began to get my head around the Minecraft map dimensions.
Oh, that's how big it is. Oh, so this is going to take like thousands of blocks.
The plan was to place a block on each corner of the map and then count how many blocks were in between each corner. Brilliant plan.
I lost count while I was doing that.
I figured the design would look best on a black background, much like the glorious days of the poster on black background era of Instagram back in like 2019 to 21. Happy times. Before I started posting 1 billion sponsored Instagram reels.
And now I want to fill in the entire border. I don't think anyone thinks that I'm deserving of that punishment. So I'm going to find a way to do this quickly.
So I found a tutorial from Minecraft Modding for Kids for Dummies, pick your audience, bloody hell, and learned how to use commands like a smart boy.
Press the spacebar again and enter a keyword indicating handle. No, this doesn't make any sense. It needs to be times by 2. What am I doing? 128, and we're working with the 112 by 64. Based on the reference material, we can suggest that each the E, L, L, and the I is, I would say, about 5, 6, 7. Then there's a little buffer zone between each that we can assume. I'm just glad I'm not in TouchDesigner, honestly. I think I'm finding this quite a relaxing experience.
I worked through the night. I worked through the rain. I worked through devastating mistakes.
Yes. What?
But once again, I had created a very satisfying replica of the original design. Good stuff. This design needed a perfect star. But how? PureRef wouldn't be much help, the map was simply too big. So a 36 by 36 Photoshop file was created, which I then imported a PNG of my star and thresholded it until I got a pixelated design I was happy with. That also included adding 72 manually placed rulers, because I couldn't auto add 36 rows and 36 columns for some reason.
How will this help?
Block by block, I outlined that star, only to find that the first block I put down was 1 block off the center. Imagine thinking that would get me down. This is Minecraft, for God's sake. The same game that flew me to London for this brand video where I cosplayed as Peso Pluma.
You know how they say to prevent eye strain, you should like look at close-up things and then look at things in the distance, like the horizon? Do you reckon that's the same with a screen? Like if because that relieves the strain looking out into the distance. It has the same effect. Hey!
So with my star complete, I called it a day and woke up the next morning excited to start work on the star interior. The only idea I had was to make like a mini Minecraft world in the confinements of the star. So I recorded for 2 hours and I didn't say a single word. And I had like so much fun doing this.
This is the dinner bell. Look at that. Looks even better on the map. This was some of the most fun I've had in a while. That's gonna piss me off that I just did that. Why did I do that?
Wow. 11 more designs completed in 11 new programs. Anything is truly possible through the power of graphic design. Here's every design made so far in this series. All of them unique. All of them perfect. And mark my words, I will make thousands more before I die. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for all your program suggestions. And if I missed yours this time, then make sure to scream it at me in the comment section so I don't miss it the next time I do this, which will be soon. But don't do that if your program is Strava. If that's your suggestion, if Strava is your suggestion, I will do it. It'll just probably, I've tried, I'll have to go to a different city and like it'll require a flight. Please keep me in a corner of your heart as you patiently await the next video. I will return soon, but until then, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Hang on. Oh no, what's that? I think my cake is... Guys, Guys, I must have forgotten to take the cake out of the oven that I was baking earlier this morning that I put in the oven. I better go downstairs and take it out of the oven before it burns even more in the oven. You don't believe that there's going to be a design on the cake, do you? And you'd be absolutely right. There is no cake because this video was meant to be 20 minutes and it turned out to be 50. Uh-oh, classic Elliot. Please check out all the stuff in the description. The video, my Instagram, my print store, my podcast with Kel are coming back like next week. Surprise! And otherwise, have a great rest of your day. And please enjoy the rest of your YouTube experience here on youtube.com.